Hello there, pre-algebra students. Welcome to Chapter 8, Section 5. We're going to look today at math equations that have variables on both sides of the equation. So, if you have not yet written your name on your note template, put that down and let's get moving on things. This will probably take us a couple of videos. I would also suggest, I think your life will be a lot better if you get a really sharp pencil for this or a mechanical pencil and keep your lead really thin because we have a lot. I want you to get down on at least the first two examples. And I want to look at algebra tiles here just for a couple so we can see what's really happening in this particular problem. We haven't solved. We are solving here for the variable just like we've been doing last week. But now we have a variable on both sides of the equation. So let's begin with a visual picture using the algebra tiles that we've used earlier this year. And we're going to do the notation similar, but I'd like you to begin. Put a 1 with a circle around it right here. Try to keep things nice and neat. Let's let this side of the equation, this picture right here, this will be this side of the equation, the 3x plus 1. That's the equal sign right down the middle, and then the x plus 7 is this side over here. So let's begin by quickly drawing the representation of 3x. Okay, so here's 3x. 1, 2, 3 rectangles, just like we learned earlier. And put a little x, it's a x, x, x. So there's 3x, and there's also a 1. So that's 3x plus 1 on this side. And then over here we have x. So we just have one positive x on this side. And then we have 7 ones right here. So if you want to put an x in there, and if you want to put a 1 in your squares just to help you remember that those are positive numbers right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 there. So there's x plus 7 on this side. Now before we go on, let's go down here, and the lower half of the paper, remember that is where we write the representation of what the picture means. So down here will be your writing, and up here on the upper half will be your picture. Okay, so 1 here corresponds with 3x plus 1 is equal to x plus 7. Okay, now I'm going to do something a little bit different. Would you put a line, you might keep it real light here because I want to correspond the picture with the writing down here just to make sure we're all on the same page. All right, and the one rule of solving equations with variables on both sides, I'm going to give you a note right here. I know you don't have a lot of space on your paper, but what you want to do first is move all variables to one side. So if you recall, the goal in an equation is to get 1x equals something. So the problem right here is I have 3x on this side, I have x on this side, so we have to move an x. So let's go back up here to the picture. So on step 2, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a negative x. So draw a picture of negative x. All right, and then you might add right here, or write this note that you're going to add negative x. Now remember the rule, if we do something to one side, you have to do it to the other side as well. Now the reason I'm adding negative x to both sides is look what happens right here. Those two cancel out. Negative x plus x on this whole side, that's 0 right there. So come down here to the writing. Let's write down what we just did. We added right underneath the x, please put negative x, because that's what we did. We added negative x. One thing we also need to do is put a line down our paper to show the line that separates the two sides of the equation. So here I added negative x, and then I added negative x right here. That needs to be right underneath the 3x, because here's what happens on this side. These two form a 0 pair. Okay, so let's put another breaking line in between here to show the third step. After I do that, the third thing we'll do, this by the way, this was line 2 right here. So that's line 1 that corresponds with this 1. This line 2 corresponds with, hey, we added negative x to both sides. All right, now let's do the math. Our third line will go here. Our third line is just write down what you have left. You have 2x right here. You have 2x So draw 2x. And you still have 1 right there. So that's you have 2x plus 1 left here. You see it right here? 3x minus x is 2x. There it is. 3x, take away an x, it's 2x. You still have this plus 1 right there. That's equal to, well, look at what's left on this side over here. You have 7. So for the picture, we'll put down 7 squares. Just draw them quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 2x plus 1 equals 7. Now look at what you have. You have a two-step equation at this point. This is what we've been doing for the last few weeks. Now I could continue with the picture, but it's hard to squeeze it all in there. So what you would do now is you would add a -1. You would subtract 1 from each side, and then you would divide it by 2, the remaining amount. But we should know how to do this. So I'm going to, at this point, just go ahead and finish the problem because you actually took a test over this last week. Hopefully you know how to do it at this point. 7 minus 1 is 6. And then let's just go ahead and finish that problem out by dividing both sides by 2. And you have x equals 3. Simple. So the only difference here is just getting all the variables to one side and then solving the equation. Because once we did that, we had a two-step equation. And usually that's what's going to happen. Now eventually the problems will get bigger and longer for us. Let's see if we can squeeze another one in here real fast. 2x minus 1. So I'm going to ask you to do one more with the picture, and then we'll take the pictures away. But it's really good for our brains to do this. So let's set this up. You have 2 x's on this side, and you have a -1. You can just do that to be -1. And then you have 3 negative x's over here. So that's -x. It's supposed to be a -x. A -x is a negative rectangle. We use the colors in class, but this is just a little faster for me just to draw. And then you have +4 over here. So you got 1, 1, 1, and 1. All right, so that's our first line. Okay, so that corresponds with 2x minus 1 is equal to, keep that equal sign nice and lined up right in the middle. And again, remember that the top half is just a picture and the bottom half is the writing. Okay, so let's draw a line right here. So that's our first line. Again, this 1 corresponds with that, 2x minus 1, and I left this off over here, -3x plus 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do with my picture is I've got to get everything onto one side. So since I have 3 negative x over there, see the 3 negative x? I'm going to add 3 positive x. And my rectangles are clearly not the same size, but you get the idea, I hope. So here's what I did. I added 3x because that zeroed that out. But you have to keep it balanced, so you have to do it to this side as well. Okay, so look what happens. Well, let's put this down here before we do that. This is step 2. We add 3x, right? That's what we did right here. We add 3x. Now, after you add the 3x to both sides, then what you have to do is just do the math. Look at the picture if you're not sure what's going on here. You've got 3 negative x, you've got 3 positive x. Look at that. That's all a zero pair right there. Those zero out. That's right here. Okay, -3x plus 3x, that's 0. So what's left over on the right-hand side is this, 4. That's equal to 4 because that became 0. And then let's look at what happened on the left-hand side. We had 2 x's and then we added 3 x's. So how many x's do I now have on this side? We have 5. And you see it right here? 2x plus 3x is 5x. Now you've still got this -1. This guy right here, he's still there too. So don't forget about him. Yeah, 5x minus 1 is equal to 4. Okay, now again, that's the third line there. But I'm not going to rewrite it out because I'd like your pictures to be nice and neat. Because you should be able to solve this now. It's a two-step equation. So add 1 to both sides. running out of space right there. Need a little bit more room. There we go. 5x minus 1. So see, there's a 0 pair right there. You're just solving for x now, like we've learned. 4 plus 1 is 5. Divide 5. Look how simple that is. X equals 1. And you got it. So that's a variable with both sides. This is part 1. I do have another video, but in the next video we're going to just do 2 examples without the pictures, but I would like you to get those down, and that'll be on the back side of your template. So we will be right back for video number 2.